and someone pops up at 5:30.
Yeah. It's shit might sneak into appearing. We're live. It's all you. What's up, everybody?
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. Whenever it's you and me on, I get the impression that I'm just along for the ride. Welcome to the Deeper Dive, everybody, presented by awesomemode.com. Friday night, March 1st. We're officially into March. Less than a quarter left of the season. 20, 21 games for a lot of these teams. We're getting close. We're glad to have you with us today as well. Dave Loughran, that fine gentleman to the left or right of me, is Josh Engelman. Josh, 7-game slate. I've got to tell you, I actually really love this slate.
So do I.
Okay, and I don't know if it's the same reasons as you, but sometimes I like these slates where, number one, you get 7, 8 games, whatever. That's fine. I prefer it more than 11 or 12. I can tell you that much. But also where there aren't 8 guys above 10K or 6 guys above 10K. It makes it interesting. And the research that goes into it, there's no less research. No, that it's just the roster construction, whether you're crunching or building by hand, is definitely different than it would be on a lot of these 11 gamers we've had recently.
Yeah, it's just something about it. It's the right group of, and who knows, this could all go to hell now that John Collins is out. That might be the first domino to fall.
Yep.
Just one of those things. Like, I feel like I've got the right amount of guys at every position. I have the right amount of guys that I like way more than the field. I've got the right amount of guys that I don't like as much as the chalk. And I'm just feeling like, okay, this is either going to be one of those days where I feel really good and go into it and smash, or I'm on a completely different wavelength because I'm going some directions, at least as of right now, that I don't anticipate having a lot of people following me.
Yeah. And a lot of times going into something feeling great ends terribly.
Yep. I just did the yep again. I don't know why I'm doing that. The storage wars. Yeah, I need to get rid of that.
That's all right. I've heard worse. All right, well, let's get into it. We've got ourselves a 7-gamer, and I mean, just out of the gate, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all 7 games of 229 or higher.
Yeah,
on the total, all of them, and 6 of 7 games have a line of 5 points or less.
It's tight.
That's pretty nice. Boston's a 10-point favorite, but I don't know if you've been following that line, or sorry, the total. It is increasing dramatically throughout the day.
Yeah, when I changed it, I did the show in the morning and did my first projection update. I didn't touch anything after that until like 3:30, 4 o'clock. I went back through and took a look. And when I changed the line, I was like, oh my God, that's up a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so it wasn't just my imagination.
Now it's up like 4 or 5 points, I think, at least.
Yeah, I remember looking, it was like 231 earlier. I swear last night it was below 230. I could be misremembering, but nevertheless, it's up there. To see Boston in a 234 total game is pretty impressive. Let's jump into it then. We'll start with Brooklyn and Charlotte. Here's one. They're all above 229. This one is 229 exactly. Believe it or not, it's the lowest total on the slate. Not by much, though, and it really doesn't make much of a difference with a lot of these games. Brooklyn Nets at home against Charlotte. Brooklyn's a 2.5-point favorite. I guess we can start with the Nets here. Spencer Dinwiddie is back, and for all intents and purposes, from everything I've seen, Kenny Atkinson appeared to make it seem as though there will be no real limitations here. He's going to play on the back-to-back. I believe they are on a back-to-back. Yeah, they are. He will be available for back-to-back sets immediately. So there's no real limitations there. This team's beginning to get healthy, Josh, and that means that we have quite a bit of names to sift through here. Where are you at on Brooklyn today?
Yeah, I've sifted them all into the garbage. I'm willing to have Jared Allen on DraftKings at 5,300 because I think that he and Ed Davis are the only people that you can confidently project today from Brooklyn. I just can't imagine being confident in anybody else. I have very little interest in anyone in this game.
On DraftKings specifically, there is one player above D'Angelo Russell at point guard that I love, one player below him at point guard that I love, meaning like only a couple hundred above him, a couple hundred below him, that I like a lot.
Yep, yep, yep.
I'm not getting to him. You know, I'm not Karis LeVert. You know, if you want to be different and roll the dice on this guy after his scoreless game, Twitter had a headline that said, you know, I think I mentioned this, that,
Yeah.
you know, NBA player has scored 0 points on his bobblehead night. Maybe he's pissed. I don't know, but
I know I am.
Yep. I think a lot of us were. But at this rate, I'd rather go Jeremy Lamb on the other side.
Yeah.
Jared Allen also is fine, but there are probably 4 or 5 centers in that tier alone that I like a lot. So to me, it's like, yes, he's fine, but I don't have much interest in anybody from Brooklyn today, which is funny because just a week or so ago, we were talking about a decent amount of viable Nets players. It's not to say Russell can't come out and have another strong game, but getting there is going to be very difficult for me, whether I'm playing 1 or 100 lineups. I think we can move on to Charlotte.
Well, I do want to touch on 2 things to get your take on it. And it has nothing to do with like my thought process on these guys, but we're projecting Ed Davis on FanDuel for 17% ownership, Joe Harris for 10% right now. I felt like we probably just wanted to touch on at least 2 guys that are getting some sort of love. The Ed Davis one makes some sense to me in that he's a viable punt, but unless I'm missing something, I have no idea why he would be getting any juice.
Yeah. A couple of things. Ed Davis is what, 4,200 and power forward eligible.
Yeah.
So, you know, I guess I can see that, but I'm not. When it comes to Ed Davis, you're talking about a guy who, you know, is getting your backup center minutes, might play 21, 22, might play 9 or 12.
Right.
Does Ed Davis once in a while have a really strong game? Yeah. But with Jared Allen healthy, with Rondae Hollis Jefferson healthy, it's really rare that it's going to happen. I just, that ownership to me seems unnecessary, and I don't see myself getting there. I can assure you of that much. And then Joe Harris, is that the next one you said?
Yeah, he's at 10 or 10. I just want to point it out because it was double digits. If you had any thoughts,
I think a lot of it has to do with just the position is bad. You know,
agreed.
DeAndre Bembry is the dead min on DraftKings. He's 4,500 on FanDuel, so they're not even close there. And you just, it's kind of like a no man's land tier where you have Taurean Prince and Damari Carroll and Jeff Green, whose minutes have come down significantly. Hell, if anything, I'd probably rather play Jeff Green over Joe Harris, Mikal Bridges, Gordon Hayward.
Yeah,
there's not a lot there, so I do understand it, but I'm not really aggressive about it. And once again, this team continues to get deeper. Yeah, Joe Harris has been playing, you know, decent minutes outside of last game where he played 25, but it's so easy for Atkinson just to be like, all right, you play 25 today, Carroll gets some more, or LeVert gets some more, or Crabbe gets some more. You know, there's a million different ways you could do it. And if you're going to be running Russell and Dinwiddie alongside each other now, that makes it even harder for all of these wings to get significant run.
Yeah, like Joe Harris normally gets a ton of minutes, but Dinwiddie coming, like, I assume he loses a minute or 2 because of Dinwiddie coming back. Like, it's got to come from somewhere, and we have no idea where it's going to come from right now. So it's just easier for me to ignore Brooklyn. If I end up being wrong and Brooklyn is the smash spot, kudos to the people that played them, but it won't be me.
I'm all right being wrong there.
Yeah,
I really am. And one more thing, there are enough bodies where like it can LeVert blow up? Can D'Angelo Russell explode? Sure. There's so many different names and spread around usage, especially now that Dinwiddie's getting back, that I don't need to go there. Russell would be the one guy, and it's just there are so many better options than Russell today, especially since Dinwiddie's back. Let's talk about Charlotte. Jeremy Lamb, coming off the bench those last 2 games, has started or played 31 plus minutes in both. He's closed out both of those games as well. He's playing about 25, 26% of the minutes without Kemba Walker, which is nice because without Kemba Walker, he's going to see a significant boost in pretty much everything. I guess we can start. Well, we'll start with Kemba, then we'll come back to Lamb. What are your thoughts on Kemba here at 8,200 on DraftKings and 93 on FanDuel?
Hard not to be interested. Pace up spot for the Hornets. I like him pretty much equally on either site. 8,200 on DraftKings feels really good. He's chalky-ish, 18%. So he's not a guy that I'm taking a stand on, but I'll certainly be with the field, or at least in that neighborhood. Kind of hard to want to not have Kemba Walker.
Yeah, I like Kemba. The one thing that I don't like about this particular spot, and it's not like it's not something that makes me have no interest in him at all, because at that price, you'd be hard pressed not to have interest in Kemba. But one thing Brooklyn does a very solid job of is limiting opponent 3-point attempts.
Yeah.
And like significantly, right? They allow fewer than 30 attempts per game, the third fewest in the league. They're also allowing one of the lowest 3-point percentages in basketball this season, which I find really interesting. Mind you, they're allowing the third most field goal attempts overall and the third fewest 3-point attempts. So when you're just talking about like 2-point field goals, they're Kenny Atkinson, and we know this, has emphasized, not giving up a lot of 3-pointers, which is actually why I like Jeremy Lamb a lot. Kemba this season, and really, again, it's not something that would keep me off of him, but almost 50% of his field goal attempts are from 3-point range. 46% of his shots are from beyond the arc. That's a large number, even for a point guard. Jeremy Lamb, on the other hand, is around 30%, and I won't say he lives in the mid range, but he's pretty diverse in terms of shot selection. He's closing games out. He's playing 30+ minutes right now. He's rebounding well. He's even dishing out assists. I like Jeremy Lamb at this price point a lot on DraftKings, 5,300. This is a spot to me, especially where he has small forward eligibility, that I have no problem getting to in a pace-up matchup. What about you on Lamb?
I have him. I'm sort of just with the field, and that's where I'm at with basically all of the relevant Hornets minus Zeller, who I have very little interest in on DraftKings. So we've got Lamb at 14%, Marvin Williams at 11%, Batum at 8%. I'm in that area for all of these guys, basically around 10%. So if I were playing a 20 max on DK, I'd probably have each one of these guys in like 2 lineups. I like sprinkling them across, but I don't see anybody as like a core piece. There's just so much additional scoring and pace and bad defense in the late games that it's really hard to focus a lot on the early games.
Yeah, that's fair. I definitely like Lamb a bit more than you do, just because of the minutes and some staggered run with Kemba Walker. Obviously, him coming off the bench has been helpful, and getting those closing minutes. Lamb, I just feel, is way too inexpensive on FanDuel or DraftKings at 5,300. Like $100 more than Nick Batum. To me, I know Nick Batum's been playing better lately, but I'll take the guy that actually has solid usage and can do stuff when he's on the court and not completely disappear at times. I mean, I get the Batum, I get Marvin Williams. This is one of those spots where the Brooklyn Nets are playing at like a top 5 pace over the last 30, 40 days. But Jeremy Lamb's the one guy to me that stands out the most. When it comes to Zeller, the big thing is, he's been playing his last 2 games. He's been playing huge minutes, but not only that, you look at his past 6 games, he's played 30+ in all but one of them. And he fouled out in the one game where he didn't play 30+ minutes. So he would have. That actually came against this same Brooklyn team. Zeller's up to 5,800 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's 6,600. I don't hate Zeller here.
I think I do.
I don't hate him. But when I look at ownership, that's one of the reasons why I said, oh, man, I will have less of him, because there are a few centers that I like a lot more. Look, the reason I don't hate him is because if you're playing at the 5 against a Brooklyn team that defensively has struggled to contain opposing 5s, whether it be rebounding, blocked shots, fantasy points in general, if you're getting 35 potential minutes in this spot, then it's hard for me to hate him.
Yeah, it's a center thing. There's too many that do more things than Cody Zeller on a day-to-day basis. And there's always so many power forward types or power forward / center guys that have better value. And we're about to get to like a bunch of them whenever we go to Atlanta because John Collins being out has kind of changed the game up.
Yep. Yeah, I can't imagine I would have a lot of him, but anytime I get a center, sub 6K playing around 35 minutes, I'm going to give him some attention at least because these players that are close to the basket, it makes a huge difference. Just a massive difference. A lot of times you don't even have to be good to have relatively good production. Anything else for Charlotte here?
No, I'm good there. We got way more to talk about.
All right, let's talk about Atlanta. Yeah, we got some time here. Let's talk about Atlanta and Chicago. 229.5 total. Hawks 2-point favorites at home against the Bulls. John Collins with that illness has been ruled out, so that changes a lot.
Yeah.
He had also seen his salary bottom out recently, which was pretty interesting. But now you're probably looking at a decent amount of minutes for Amari Spellman, who's $100 from the minimum. Bembry, not to say that the Collins influences him, but Bembry is minimum salary on DraftKings, which I found really strange that he would be the dead man.
It feels like a mistake.
It has to be, right? I mean, the reason I say that is because, yeah, okay, he is not very good, but you're still like, if
he's not a minimum salary guy, just like normally.
Right. If he's minimum and Landry Shamit's 3,500 and Mo Harkless is like, well, Mo Harkless has actually been pretty decent lately, so I guess I'll take that back. But if Danny Green even, like,
yeah,
the bare minimum seems to be strange to me.
I completely agree.
Let's talk about Collins' impact.
Yeah.
On this game.
I'm making my updates to the projections right now, but I have handled Atlanta. So let me take a look at it. Obviously, Omari Spellman on FanDuel is a guy that you should basically be starting most of your lineups with, unless you have a very specific reason to get off of him. He's 3,700. He should play north of 25 minutes. That is what you're looking for in a potential extra salary punt play. He's barely a punt at this point. If you didn't drop salaries, you would still play him. That's sort of the way that I look at it. He's 3,100 on DraftKings. Again, it's not as if it's the same sort of setup as like Bam Adebayo. It's not like Omari Spellman is good, but all of the playing time is there for him tonight. So I will be using quite a bit of Omari Spellman, quite a bit of Taurean Prince, 4,800 on FanDuel, 4,500 on DK. Should see a couple extra minutes as well with Collins out. That one scares me. I don't like going to him. He's like my kryptonite. So
Amari Spellman confirmed starter, by the way.
Yeah. What do you think of Prince?
I don't have much interest in him. Until he starts to show even remote consistent. Like, the problem I have with Taurean Prince is well, number one, we've seen his usage decline significantly. The first month or so of the season was a lot different. And then he just stopped being involved. And he's not a guy that can really give you any consistent peripheral stats, despite being a pretty decent overall defender, long arm, pretty fast, athletic. Like, you would think that he would do a better job in that respect, but he doesn't. He's cheap enough to where you say, all right, I don't hate the guy, but by no means do I have any prioritization when it comes to Taurean Prince. Amari Spellman, on the other hand, you'd be hard pressed to not play him. He's starting. He's 100 above the minimum on DraftKings, 200 above the minimum on FanDuel. He's already playing recently, at least. You're already getting, 19, 20, 22, 19 minutes from him. He's averaging around 20 minutes over his last 4 games alone. And all of those games have actually been competitive. So he's getting minutes in competitive games. You have to, I'm not telling you what you have to do, but I would project him for at least 26 minutes, upwards of 30, 32 minutes here. It's hard to say with Lloyd Pierce. I never like to definitively say what I expect these guys. Like I said with Bembry the other day when Herter was out, like, I didn't, he was projected like 28, 30 minutes in spots. I can't confidently put someone like Bembry there. With Spellman, it's a little bit different. I'd say minimum 26, upwards of 30, 32 if he's playing well.
Yeah, I put him in for 28. it really doesn't matter. Any
Nope.
number above that, you're still going to get him a lot. And if you put him into the 30s, you're locking him in permanently. So
You're probably going to get him quite a bit, even at like 26. I mean,
yeah,
he just shy.
I'll probably get him around 40% at 28 right now, just eyeballing it.
Oh, I would think I'd get a lot more than that, actually.
Yeah, maybe. I mean on FanDuel, I might get him in 100 because of the way that you can drop scores. But
right. I mean, the thing too is he's not an elite guy from an efficiency standpoint, but he's also not awful.
no.
You know, you get 28 minutes out of him, you're looking at around 25 fantasy points just based on his average numbers, not including the fact that he's playing Chicago. It is a pace down spot, but when you talk efficiency, Chicago is one of the worst defenses in the league overall. I also would God, the thing is he's so cheap. Like we've had punts at 39 4K that we're playing all of them. He is the dead min everywhere. So that it would be very difficult for him to be a huge letdown in this spot. Be real difficult. Agree. Yeah.
We didn't touch on Trey Young. He's getting ownership, and I think that's perfectly acceptable. I'll be right around the field on him.
Yeah. I mean, John Collins, while his usage had definitely come down a bit recently, he's still one of the few guys in that rotation that when you take him out actually makes a difference. You know, quality rebounder. He had been a double-double machine for some time there. For a good month and a half, every game was a double-double. Efficient scorer, gets to the line a decent amount. So you take that away, and it definitely makes a big difference. I would assume that you're going to get a nice upgrade for Trey Young. In terms of who do I like him over, who do I not like him over, I definitely like him over D'Angelo Russell. When it comes to Kemba, that's a little bit tougher. But now that Collins is off, just knowing that Trey Young is getting these huge minutes, Matt, that is a big difference. Lloyd Pierce is giving Trey Young huge playing time right now. He had seen 38 minutes, 41 minutes. The 38 was 43, but in regulation, 38. I mean, you're getting a ton of playing time since Jeremy Lin has left. And, Young is you look at his rates this year, I think some people are surprised to see how good they actually are, Josh.
He's been so much better as this season has gone on. He was really not good early. He was dead last in RPM for the longest time.
I remember that.
I don't know where he is now. I can only imagine that it's higher than that. Now he's justifying the pick a little bit more. He's still not Luka, but it doesn't look as bad. And look, rookie point guards take a long time to develop. He could be on his next contract before you're really happy about it.
Right, unless you're a 6'10" point guard like Ben Simmons, generally speaking.
Yeah, got to name a Sixers point guard, right?
Well, I mean, he was pretty decent in his rookie year.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, when you talk about developing, fucking guy still can't shoot, so.
But he's trying now. He's trying.
That actually matters to me. I'm not even lying.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, I didn't mean that as it was a joke. I want him to shoot.
And
not because I want the Sixers to be worse because he can't shoot. I want him to shoot so he can be better.
Right. I love how you had to clarify that.
Well, it's real.
The Sixers are the one Philly team you don't hate, right?
Correct.
Yeah. If he knocks down a couple of those threes, in a couple games, he's going to start getting confidence. By the way, I can't get Wowie to load.
Neither can I.
What? I know.
Are you trying to load up the Hawks without John Collins as well?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to do.
Can't get it.
And it just will not budge.
No, not at all.
I know. Sometimes that's, oh, God. You know what?
Had I known Wowie was for sale, I probably would have got us to try to buy them.
Yeah, I know. We'll keep trying throughout the show, and I'll come back to it. If I forget and you get it to pop, because it's kind of important.
It's what I've been doing from the time we started talking about the Hawks.
You know what? If anyone's watching right now and you pulled it up and it loaded for you, let us know. Trey Young per minute. Spellman, a little less important, but the starting lineup. Let us know what it looks like. I'm happy to take that information and put it back out there because loading query results has been up on my page for about 10 minutes now. Yep. But I mean, you're right. Trey Young definitely gains. Let me ask you this though: Trey Young at 81 or Walker at 82 on DraftKings? Pretty tough.
Yeah, they are essentially equal to me. They are separated in fantasy points by 0.2. So the guy that ends up less owned, I guess, is probably I guess Kemba. I'd feel a little bit more comfortable going to Kemba. We'll see how Trey Young's stats change if and when we can get to this.
So. Yeah.
But right now, I would lean Kemba. It's close.
Somebody just sent me another site that has Wowie.
Yeah, it's not my favorite.
Yeah, I'm trying to even figure out how to use it.
It's not bad.
I mean, if it works, I'd be happy. But trying to learn it on the fly here, not particularly great. But with Bembry, though, I have to point out that he's also minimum salary. Like, if it's not crazy on DraftKings to consider him a decent play. He played 34 minutes last game. I don't expect that to be the case, Josh. But if Bembry plays 30 minutes at minimum salary, my God, like, that's also really not bad at all.
No, not at all. I'll have some Bembry. He's not as popular as I expected him to be. I only have him in for 24 minutes, though. Do you think that the 34, okay, I know you don't think that the 34 that he got in the most recent game is going to happen again. But
no, of course not.
What do you think his realistic minutes outlook is for this game? I mean, we're talking about a February 27th game where Vince Carter played 27 minutes. So I have a lot of trouble taking everything that I see out of that box score at face value.
It's literally why I never played DeAndre Bembry.
Yep.
That is why. But in that same breath, he's minimum salary. So
if they're going to be giving him like point Bembry run, then he can get a couple extra minutes because it doesn't seem like, in that game, they didn't seem to care too much about Jalen Adams. I'll have some, but I do not want to hitch my wagon here.
Oh, no, not at all. I have him for 26 or I have him for 24 minutes here. Yeah. And he actually still comes up as a passable value play. But if I put him any more than that, if I put him at like 28 or something, right, I know that's why it won't load. The site loads. It's not that the site won't load. It's
there's too many people doing exactly what we're doing right now.
Yep, it's that the query won't load. I got the site up.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk. We got to hurry it up a little bit, but that was a pretty important one here.
It was.
Oh, anything at center, by the way, for Atlanta?
Not really. No. The answer is no.
All right. Oh yeah. By the way, thanks, Ken. I meant to say, if you're going to run it with Lynn off as well.
Yep.
Even though he's usually off, but still run it with Lynn off just in case. All right. Let's talk about the Bulls here. I like Zach LaVine quite a bit. The price point is depressed, 77 on DraftKings. I have no issue with that whatsoever. Markkanen, though, look, I like this, but he's getting up there in price now where it makes it a bit prohibitive, Josh, especially because there are a few guys at the position that I like. Actually, for me, it's LaVine and Porter that stand out to me the most. Not even, forget about ownership for a moment, just in terms of matchup, benefiting from the matchup and having a really solid price point. Those are the two guys I like. And, on FanDuel, small forward doesn't offer much. So I think Porter stands out a little bit there.
Yeah, I took a closer look at Chicago today and updated a lot of rates. I love Markkanen now. He is my third overall guy on FanDuel. He is 7th right now for me on DK. I am going very, very hard in the paint for Markkanen. I do love LaVine. I do love Porter. I don't even mind Chris Dunn all that much. Robin Lopez on FanDuel is fine. I really like the Bulls. The Hawks defense has just been so bad that these guys are grading out pretty well. But I might be living and dying by Lauri Markkanen tonight.
That's interesting to me.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he's been really good. Again, I have no issues whatsoever with Lauri Markkanen, but he's not cheap anymore. You know,
He's not.
9K FanDuel, 86 on DraftKings.
I have him
So
with the third highest overall DraftKings projection.
on the slate.
Yeah. Wait, maybe I mean FanDuel. Sorry, I put them in the ticker. No, I do mean DK. Yes. I have Giannis at 59. We'll get there, obviously, people. I have LeBron at 58. I have Lauri Markkanen at 50.1.
Wow. Okay. All right. So you have him above Kyrie. I don't.
By 0.2 of a point.
Okay. I was going to say it's got to be close. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you have it. Hey, that's why disagreements are good here. Keep in mind, it's not that I don't like Markkanen. I'm just not sure what I'll end with. I haven't crunched it, but my guess it'll probably get around 15% Markkanen. If that's the case, I'd be okay with it. What are you looking at? Like 50% here?
Probably on DK, probably in like the mid 30s ish, because he's at 12%. Similar story on FanDuel.
Oh, that's not too bad then. All right,
I could go higher. I'm going to limit it a little bit because of his personal ownership.
So if you didn't limit it, he's going to show up in 100% of your lineups with that projection you got for it.
Well, he will have an ownership cap when I crunch at 32. So I will have 32.
Right. I'm saying if there were no limitations at all on him with the third highest projection.
Yeah, I'm going to get quite a bit in that scenario.
Yeah. I do like Porter. Look, I don't like Otto Porter. I like him tonight. And it's really it's kind of simple. He's not overpriced. He's playing 35, 36 minutes almost every night since he's come to Chicago. He's producing right over a fantasy point per minute. And he's got a great pace up spot against the Hawks. So there is a lot that stands out to make him and Levine fine. You know, Levine loses the assist opportunities with Dunn on the floor. But even since Dunn and Markkanen returned in early December, Levine's still, a 30% usage guy, right around 1.1 fantasy points per minute. So when you get that price point down, you consider that he plays around 38 minutes in competitive games, 37, 36 minutes. You can make a good argument for him and Otto Porter and Lauri Markkanen.
We are at 32 minutes. This is the second game.
Yeah, well, this next one we're not going to spend much time on.
We are certainly not.
Listen. I'm telling you, there are a couple games here we're going to breeze right through them. We'll be fine. Don't you worry.
I'm not worried about it at all.
Don't panic me.
I just find it hilarious.
Don't panic me. All right. We should have started at 5. That's what we should have done.
We could have started this morning.
Yeah. Let's talk Boston and Washington. This is the only game with a spread of more than 5 points. Actually, now New Orleans came down to 4.5. So 4.5. Oh no, Milwaukee's up to 5.5, but still 10-point favorites. They've been garbage lately, man. They've lost 4 straight. I think 6 of their last 7 or 6 of the last 8, maybe 7 of their last 8. It's been bad. But I really like Kyrie here. I do. I mean, the only concern is the potential blowout, but I'm not letting that dictate my decisions. If I'm getting Irving, specifically on DraftKings, Josh, at $8,900, knowing that Brad Stevens is going to play him for a load of minutes in competitive spots, and he's a 30% usage, 30% plus assist rate guy. I just really like Irving at 8,900, and I don't think I could be talked off of it.
I love him. I like him on FanDuel. I like him on DK. He's a guy that I'm going to have quite a bit of. I assume I'll even be over the ownership number right now. I can't find a reason not to have him.
Unless he gets injured mid-game or Stevens pulls his blowout rotations where he only gives him 6 minutes in the third quarter.
Yeah.
It feels like and am I wrong to say, look, nothing's a must-win game, but am I wrong to say Boston really needs this win?
You are not wrong to say that.
Yeah, they really need this win. So I'm going to assume that Lauri Markkanen has a whole lot. Sorry, that Kyrie Irving has a whole lot to do with it, assuming they win, even if they don't. But what about outside of that? Are you on Horford today? Are you on Marcus Morris? Are you on any of these other guys that some of them price-wise are in pretty decent spots, particularly on DraftKings?
I will have some Horford. He's at 25% on DK right now. I will not be there, but I will be
that's high.
In the 15-ish percent. It's hard to pass up on 6,400. Don't have much interest in Marcus Morris. He's at 21% on FanDuel right now.
I know.
Yeah, I will have like 5 I do like Jason Tatum on FanDuel though, 6,400. But everybody else is just sort of rotational for me. Ooh, I got the Hawks to load in case you're curious.
Oh, nice.
Bing bang boom.
Mine's still chugging along.
Well, good luck tonight.
We actually had a couple guys respond to us in Slack chat. Appreciate that, by the way. Maybe YouTube chat. I haven't checked it in a second. But
yeah, I got a couple messages. I need specific stuff out of there to update my things. But I appreciate everybody trying to help out.
Yeah. Well, I'm just talking about for the broadcast.
Sure.
And it
I'm
looks like
updating stuff for the broadcast.
Looks like Trey Young hasn't seen a whole big bit of a difference there, but
no, little boost to his assist rate.
Little boost, but not a big deal. And that's probably noisy because it's not like John Collins is siphoning off facilitating opportunities.
312 possessions, so we can pump the brakes a little bit.
Right. So how many minutes is that? The Hawks play so many possessions per minute, so it's got to be like how many minutes?
It'll be like 140 or so, 130.
I think more with the Hawks. I wouldn't be surprised.
It's usually like 2.1 possessions per minute, somewhere in that neighborhood. If you just want to like a ballpark.
With the Hawks, it's like 7.
Yeah.
What about on the Washington side? Does anything interest you here? This is actually one team where I don't have much. I'm not even high on Bradley Beal tonight, more so because relative to the position, he's not at the top of my list.
Beal, Parker, Satoransky are the guys that I will probably end up with like 1 or 2 of in a 20 max. That's the extent of it. Nothing crazy. They're just there.
5%ers.
Yep.
Okay. See, I didn't think we'd spend much time there.
We're not going to spend much time on this next one either.
No, but there's someone from this game I really like. Might surprise you, but
Boston, Washington, or Toronto, Portland?
Toronto, Portland. Yeah, I'm okay moving on from Washington, Boston here. We want to make sure that we get in the good stuff for you guys too. So if it ever seems like we are just cruising by a game, it's because some of these are more valuable from a DFS standpoint. Toronto and Portland, we've got the Toronto Raptors 4.5-point favorites, 229.5 total. This game is going to be a fun one to watch, by the way. This should be a fun basketball game.
Very excited for it.
Looking forward to this.
I hope my eyes are still open at that point.
It's at 8:00.
Yeah.
Eastern time.
Yeah.
What do you got for Toronto?
Precious little. On DK, I can pretty much do without most of this team. They are priced better on FanDuel. On FanDuel,
surprised you're not on Kawhi. You love cheap Kawhi.
I'm way under the field, and the field is at 10%. So on FanDuel, I don't mind it as normal because of the positional constraints. He's at 15%. I would likely be there or slightly under, and I don't have any problem going to Siakam. He's the only guy that I actually like.
Would you rather have Kawhi at 95 or Porter at 72 on FanDuel?
I would rather have
between the two of them.
Porter.
Okay. I think I would too. By the way, we'll get to that actually. Yeah, I think I would too. Kawhi's fine, but he's not a priority.
Nope.
Really the whole team. Oh, Bledsoe just signed a nice little extension there. $70 million, 4 years. Huh. And now Pau Gasol's coming to the Bucks. You see that?
I did.
Yeah, with Toronto, Siakam, you name it. I'm not getting there with any frequency. If we're talking about who do I have as like the best value, it would probably be Siakam. Yeah. Actually,
he's my number one in terms of like if I had to rank Toronto on a straight line.
Right, him and then Kawhi, but none are priorities. Marc Gasol is 5,200 on DraftKings. I mean, that is getting really, really cheap. 5,800 on FanDuel. But on this slate, you might look at it initially and say, oh, there aren't many good centers, but there are a lot of decent value centers and like lower mid-range guys.
Yeah.
So not really ending up on much Gasol either. And, he's producing, sure, north of a fantasy point per minute since he's come to Toronto, but not crazy numbers. Can he do it? Yeah, but this isn't the best matchup either. 5,200. If I saw Gasol drop 35 fantasy points here, I wouldn't be surprised. I have him as a decent value play, but once again, this whole Toronto team is kind of just tertiary guys at best, really, Josh.
I agree. It's just not a spot for me.
So on Portland, there is a guy I like, and it's Yusuf Nurkic. Uh, I'll tell you why. A couple of reasons, actually.
Cantor not
Now,
being able to travel to a different country probably doesn't hurt.
that is one of those reasons, actually. Actually, yes, it is.
Shocking.
He's in the midst of some safety issues, and as you know, well, if you don't know the story, it's well worth looking up. It's pretty interesting and pretty wild. Yusuf Nurkic right now, though, on DraftKings is 7,300, projected at 6% ownership. On FanDuel, Nurkic is coming in, I believe, even lower than that, 4%, 8K. And the reason, like, you look at a guy in DeAndre Ayton, who is, he has less than 40 fantasy points in 15 of his last 18 games. He hasn't gone for 50 plus since December. And he is coming in with some decent ownership on both sites, while Nurkic is going entirely overlooked. Look, Cantor's out, and he's been playing 20 minutes per game since he came to Portland. Nurkic is averaging around 28 minutes in those games. I think Nurkic gets back up to 30, 31 minutes, barring foul trouble here. And I'm not particularly worried about the matchup because he's almost a 1.4 fantasy point per minute guy on the season. You give me 30, 31, maybe 32 minutes at that price, at that ownership, just from a leveraged or a tournament play, Nurkic is a perfectly reasonable option, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like him a lot more on FanDuel at 8K than I do at 73 on DraftKings. And we're
I like
giving him no ownership on FanDuel. I will have a lot more than the 4% that we're showing right now.
pretty much no ownership on both sites, you know.
I agree with it on DK.
73 is not that expensive, especially with the double bonus. And I mean, this guy can get it done in a bunch of different categories. Either way, if he plays 30 plus minutes, I'm on board with Yusuf Nurkic here, and I assume that he will. So he would be the one.
I gave him 30 minutes. I have him behind. I have him as my 13th best center.
13th best center?
13th best person that can play center. Let's actually make that 12 because Anthony Davis doesn't count.
All right. Anything else for Portland?
No, like if you end up with a lineup with Dame or CJ, don't freak out, but it's not a great spot. It's a much better regular basketball game than a DFS basketball game.
I would agree with that. I was surprised to see what Harkless had been doing lately. Those numbers are pretty intense.
Do you mean playing? Because that's the surprising part. Physically being on the floor is more surprising than his output.
Yeah, and the output's been pretty impressive as well.
Dude, I've had a lot of wine to drink. Friday, woo!
I'm not getting to him though. I don't think you need to on this slate. Let's talk Phoenix and New Orleans.
Oh, this one's gonna kill me tonight.
Yeah, it could. Phoenix 4-point home dog, 239 total, tied for the highest on the slate right now. Let's get through the Phoenix Suns first, because outside of DeAndre Ayton, who I think is fine, but I could kind of take it or leave. Everyone gets kind of enamored with Ayton because his price comes down, but really he's just been a decent mid-range center for the past 2 months.
I have him ahead of Yusuf Nurkic, if that helps you.
Well, if Nurkic is your 700th ranked center, then I would imagine you do.
Yeah, I have Ayton 6th for me. Look, it's a monster total in this entire game. Both teams are terrible on defense. I have my sights on like 8 dudes in this game with volume. It's bad. It's real bad.
So, who from Phoenix are you targeting with volume? Ayton's, I'm assuming one of them. And
yes.
What do you got? Booker and Johnson and Oubre and stuff too?
Booker and Ayton, pretty big. Josh Jackson on FanDuel for 5,500. I like. I will have shares of Oubre, Tyler Johnson, and Bridges, but Booker and Ayton are both like high 20s, low 30s type guys for me right now.
Okay. Yeah, I keep Booker. I have him below Irving, and he's not that differently priced. I have him right now below Kemba too. I thought I'd get to more here, but I'm not. That's not to say I don't like him. Like you said, a 239 total game. There is a lot to like. There's no question. There's plenty to like in this game. It's a weird one. I think this is one that could do me real solid or not do me well at all because I might be underweight on this. And the reason is, look, Oubre, his price is coming up, but I would expect him to have produce decent numbers here. 73 on FanDuel is a bit rich for my blood, though. Mikal Bridges, I mean, this guy just does virtually nothing for me. He is an empty stat sheet almost every night. I know he went on a little bit of a run there, but that's probably the exception to the rule given the season production as a whole. Devin Booker obviously is perfectly reasonable here. I don't know, man. How much Devin Booker are you getting right now? Maybe I'm crazy to not have a ton of him on this slate.
I will have my ownership cap on him on DK somewhere in the 25% range. We've got him at 10, so a little more than double, and it's a little bit more aggressive on FanDuel.
The fact that his ownership is projected so low does make him a lot more interesting.
Yeah. Like $8,300 Devin Booker tonight against the Pelicans team in a track meet game. They're in a bit of a tailspin. If I was like, oh, yo, Devin Booker went for 40 real points tonight, you'd be like, oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah. You know what I think it is? I'm just like kind of processing this right now. I think the reason that it wouldn't end up as much as I thought is because everything you just said about Booker, I can pretty much say about Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
And about Kemba, because Kemba gets a big pace up spot. Brooklyn backcourt defense is hardly imposing. The same thing for Kyrie Irving. Washington against point guards this season has been one of the worst team in the league, if not the worst in most categories. So I think you can say that about a lot of them. It's kind of a pick your poison spot. Which one do you want to live with? And there's definitely no doubt that Kyrie Irving will be, on DraftKings specifically, that Irving will definitely be a lot high, about twice his ownership as Devin Booker.
To be fair, he's not even close to the best guard in this game, so none of it matters.
Who isn't?
Oh, Booker isn't.
Booker. So what are you talking? Drew Holiday on the other side?
That's my guy. He's my number 2 guy on DK right now.
Who?
Drew Holiday. Number 2 on FanDuel, number 2 on DK. I'm all over Drew Holiday more than anybody else in this slate, basically.
It's hard not to like Drew here. I guess the only question is I'm waiting for Alvin Gentry to pull the rug out from underneath him and Julius Randle.
It gives me some pause, but I don't know. Is today the day he starts? I'm willing to die to find out, I guess.
This is what I mentioned in the deep dive, which you can check out. Marc Gasol's starting now, by the way, for the Toronto Raptors. What I mentioned in the deep dive today, which you can check on awesemo.com. Adam, Cher, and I swap days each and every day throughout the week. You also have the ownership projections that we reference, the rankings projections for every sport. Alex Baker, Awesemo himself, you know him. It's his site. All of his content, his rankings, the Fantasy Cruncher add-on, the lineup builder, our sports betting content, and a whole lot of other stuff I don't have time to talk about. But you can check all of it out by simply clicking Join Now on the homepage and getting 50% off your first month. That's right, half off your first month by using the promo code DEEPERDIVE, all one word, DEEPERDIVE. When you select your plan, click on coupon, put in Deeper Dive, one word, check out, and you've got 50% off your first month. Come say hi in our Slack chat when you do it. We'll be happy to see you there at awesemo.com. 50% off your first month. Just use Deeper Dive, all one word when you type it in. So yeah, Drew, if you have Drew projected for 34 minutes, then he's going to show up as a very good play. That's what I said this morning in today's article. Like if you're projecting him for that, there's no way, two ways around it. He's going to pop as a very good play.
I gave him his normal 36.
Are you even 36?
Got it in the last game, 34 and 33 in the 2 games before that, 39 on February 14th.
Yeah, 36 to me seems a bit steep, but
yeah, okay. You're walking me back off of it a little bit.
Only because I feel a little more comfortable with 34. But hey, maybe he plays 36. That's kind of what I'm saying. I don't really know. The same thing with Julius Randle. Like I think this is a very good spot for Julius Randle. Really good spot, especially with him getting his minutes, all his minutes at center. How much Julius Randle do I end up on? That's another question, but and I would imagine you don't have much because you like Lauri Markkanen so much. But
Still liking quite a bit of Randall.
okay. Well, yeah, I have Randall at 33 minutes, and 33 minutes against the Suns makes him a very good play.
Yep, 100%. I'll be over the field on Holiday. I'll be over the field on Randall. I'll be way over the field on Elfrid Payton.
Okay. Yeah, Elfrid Payton I like, but with Rondo starting again, I'll definitely be lower on Payton than I would have been if Rondo was going back to the bench. So there is that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep, by the way, Anthony Davis, I keep getting very tempted to play this guy, but I can't do it. Is it possible that he plays 21 minutes and drops 50 fantasy points? Yes, it actually is. Like, he could absolutely do that, but you don't really need to take that risk. And he's not that much more cheaper than Julius Randle or even Drew Holiday. So let's hope if Davis drops to like 5,800, I will play him at 21 minutes happily, like every time. I will.
Yeah, he pops up a lot for me because of the way that I use distributions. He doesn't really have the same sort of right tail because he's not going to play. Like, there is no upside to minutes in theory.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So it becomes a tricky situation. You can't project him the way that you would project everybody else.
For sure. Like, what he's playing. Yeah, that's a good point. We got 2 to go here. Let's talk about Sacramento and the Clippers. 237.5 total. Sacramento, I'll let you kick this off. No Marvin Bagley, so you've got an interesting situation in the front court. What are you doing here?
I mean, fading the heavy Willie Cauley-Stein chalk a little bit. I won't be anywhere near 40% on DK or 30 on FanDuel. Buddy Hield is the guy that I want out of this game. I'm not near the Boya or the Bogdan chalk. I'm not near the Harry Giles talk. Do you expect Willie Cauley-Stein and Harry Giles to play more minutes because of this?
Well, here's the thing. They've only played 32 minutes with each other the whole season.
Right.
Bagley and Cauley-Stein have played almost 400 minutes together, but Bagley was seeing some backup center minutes. So I think all it does is solidify Giles. I don't think they play alongside each other, though. I think Giles' minutes range is anywhere from like 17 to 22.
Yeah.
And Cauley-Stein's, barring foul trouble, is anywhere from like, I don't know, what's 48 minus 22? 26?
28.
So no,
26.
26. You
It's
did
that
have
wine talking.
You did have too much wine. So like Cauley-Stein 26 to 31 or so.
I gave him 29 minutes. I think he's a really nice center play. I don't want him in 40% of my lineups.
See, with me, I actually don't hate it. I have him at 29 minutes as well. The big thing for me is he's so damn cheap.
Yeah.
He's facing a Clippers team. You ready for this? Like, I don't always rattle these off, but as I say a lot with center, I'm more than willing to. The Clippers this season, in points allowed, second most, third most rebounds, second most assists, fourth most steals, third most blocks, second most free throw attempts, all to centers. So it is a really appealing spot for Willie Cauley-Stein. I get it, dude. Willie Cauley-Stein can have some rough games, and if you're off of him on the nights where he does, then I totally understand it. But then at 4,500, it is a one of those spots where you're like, man, I can see why he would be that popular. I guess that's what I'm saying.
No, yeah. Look, I understand it. He grades out really well for me. There's enough value on this slate now in like the Omari Spellman role or whatever that I'm good. I don't need to go all the way up to 40.
On the Early Bird podcast, I said I actually didn't even hate the idea of playing Cauley-Stein and Giles together, even though I don't expect them to play next to each other. And the reason I said that is we didn't have much value when we recorded last night, number one. And number two, they're a combined like 7,600 on DraftKings. They're so cheap that it didn't make a difference. I still think Giles at 3,100 is fine. Like, he is a +1 per minute guy. So I'm okay with that. But like on DraftKings, you're getting him at the second highest ownership on the slate. That is not a spot that I mind fading at all because I just don't see why. I don't see him getting more minutes with Bagley out. I just see Barnes playing all of his minutes at the 4, Bogdanovich playing all of the minutes at the 3, and then I don't know what happens. Maybe Bjelica gets some more minutes or something, but like there's a lot of ways it could go wrong for Giles, and there aren't a lot of ways it can go right.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you.
Like Corey Brewer's played 20 minutes last game. Giles didn't sub in when Bagley came out. Harrison Barnes did because he went to the 4.
Yeah.
So I like Buddy Hield. De'Aaron Fox is fine, but I can't prioritize him ahead of all of these other guys. That's kind of the problem for me. But Willie Cauley-Stein would still be my top guy here. Sprinkle in Giles. I can't get over the field there just because I worry that those minutes are not what people expect them to be. He's not playing next to Cauley-Stein, which really hurts his upside and his minutes upside. Bogdanovich is fine, but man, that ownership, like that's why I mentioned Jeremy Lamb earlier today, because they're the same price, and Bogdanovich is projected to be the 3rd highest guy on DraftKings, while Jeremy Lamb is half of that, if not less. What do you have on the Clippers?
Montrezl Harrell on FanDuel, Lou Will on FanDuel. If you get one or two of Harrell, Williams, or Gallo on DK, it's fine.
That's all I have as well. Montrezl Harrell is the guy. Lou Williams, sprinkle him in, I guess, but it's tough to get a ton of them. All right, let's close it out here. Lakers, Milwaukee Bucks, 239 total, tied for the highest on the slate as well. Milwaukee 5.5-point favorites on the road. LeBron James and the Lakers, same starting lineup as last time. What do we got, Josh?
Yeah, I like LeBron. I like him more on FanDuel and less on DK, which is kind of surprising, but that's just because of the positions. Rondo chalk, I will be highly above. Now that we know that he is starting, I have no reason to not want to play Rondo.
At 5K, you'd be crazy not to.
Yep. For Ingram and Kuzma, whatever I get of them, I'm happy to have. But LeBron is priority 1 if there's a priority. Well, Rondo is priority 1 for sure. LeBron would be priority 2.
I don't mind Kuzma at the 5. I think it's an interesting spot. Brook Lopez is a big center, but look, he's a perimeter guy. He's not somebody you really worry about destroying you down low at all.
Yeah.
So I don't worry about Kuzma in that respect. That's why I'm not surprised that Walton is starting him at center again. And if you're going to play Kuzma closer to the basket for 34, 35 minutes, I'm perfectly okay getting some Kyle Kuzma. It makes perfect sense.
Sure.
Rondo is definitely the top guy there. From a value standpoint, we already talked about LeBron. We don't really need to get into much discussion when it comes to LeBron. But since it is 6:30 and we're going to go a minute late here, but I want to get this in because it's important. And Live Before Lock will hit on everything as well afterwards. So stick around. They'll take you up to lock. Giannis is playing, but is he going to be limited again? And because I don't know, and because I can't trust it right now, Josh.
I'm playing a monstrous amount of Giannis on FanDuel tonight.
Because he's so much cheaper than LeBron?
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's interesting.
You wouldn't expect it on the FanDuel site where that shit locks and then it locks permanently. I'm not going to...
Have you seen anything on his minutes, though?
No, not at all. I'll say this much right now. If we didn't have any worry about his minutes, I would probably have Giannis in like 50% of my lineups tonight.
Of course. But 24 minutes that he played last time is highly concerning. I left him in a lot of lineups, and I got burned by it because Budenholzer said he would monitor his minutes. Generally speaking, when coaches say that, it just means they watch them play their same amount of minutes, and it didn't happen. Middleton actually played 18 minutes with Giannis off the floor in regulation.
I'm going to have a lot of Middleton and Bledsoe, too, if we want to get that in there.
If Giannis is limited, Middleton will get a lot of minutes with him off. Brogdon and Bledsoe did not stagger as much, but Middleton staggered heavily with Giannis. So if you think Giannis is going to get limited, then Middleton is the primary beneficiary here, no question.
For sure. Yeah, I'll have a lot of Middleton. I'll have a lot of Bledsoe, but I'm going to Giannis.
Okay. Just so everyone knows.
I'm willing to die on that line.
Josh is taking a risk here, and he knows it, just so we're clear.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It's a big risk.
It's a very big risk.
Especially on FanDuel. On DraftKings, play him in non-LeBron lineups if you're going to do it, because if we get word, you can swap to LeBron at a $200 discount.
I don't like him on DK.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. At 11-6, it's gonna be tough anyway.
Put it this way, like I'm barely playing him on DraftKings, so it's not about my stance on him.
Right. Last thing I'll throw out before we hand it over to Live Before Lock crew: Brook Lopez playing really big minutes, 30+ minutes in 5 of his last 6. His production's been solid, and you're getting a super undersized front court. Even from if Kuzma's going to close out on him from 3-point range, he still benefits with that height advantage. Like, he's going to have a distinct advantage here. I don't think Brolo's the craziest play on a night like this. And, he's not going to be that high owned either. So throw Lopez in there as well. Stay tuned for this Giannis update. If we get news, it's really important because that could change everything. Stick around. Live Before Lock coming up next. We love you guys. Hit that thumbs up if you appreciate the content. You want to see more. Like the show. It helps us out a lot. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. Until then, we'll see you back here next week on The Deeper Dive.